What is up, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Brand Altitude with myself and Jono Groves today. We're going to be switching things up a little. Jono has a whole list of discussion topics, so he will be in charge of the podcast today, and I'm just kind of here to chatter it up between topics. So, Jono, take it away.
Yeah, so we've been shooting these podcasts and pretty much doing episodes, but right now we're just focusing on getting out about one a month. The cool thing is throughout the time periods of shooting the podcast, I'm kind of writing down topics of things that are coming up in our day-to-day. So we're going to have topics to speak on which are pretty relevant to, we'll say, the last 30 days or our last podcast. And I think it's going to be a good podcast today. We're going to touch base on some points that are kind of relevant to now. And yeah, I'd like to start off the podcast by saying, if you've been following this is great. We appreciate you. We haven't been posting them on social media every single time, but we are posting them to Spotify and YouTube. So if you're subscribed, you're going to get the notification. We'll start posting some mini clips from these podcasts here in the future. We're going to do a big social push. We just realized that we needed more content. So I want to start things out by saying thank you to all our True Mountain clients. We appreciate you all. It's great having your guys' support. Our team loves doing what they do. And we appreciate the support. And some of the things I just want to roll into today specifically is just the importance of having a website. So when we started with True Mountain, there was so many people that we would talk to that would say, we don't have a website, we just have a Facebook page. And when you go on to social media now, it's kind of flooded. And if people are running Facebook ads, or let's just say their whole business relied on social media right now, a lot of people aren't going to have the same reach in terms of what they used to have. So I kind of want to go into, why a website is important, especially in so many times. We've had COVID happen where everything went digital. Everybody had to have a website. And now we're just kind of seeing we don't really have control of what happens on social media. But right now, if somebody's, furnace breaks, the first place they're going to go is Google to find a solution, find somebody in the service industry. So, John, you want to kind of touch base on that point?
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, the last decision people make is generally influenced by their website. So they might, stumble upon you via social media. They might find you from a flyer, a mailer. They might find you, from your Chamber of Commerce event that you happen to have attended, and 2 months later they look you up. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about the service industry or somebody selling some type of specific tailored, service, there's a little bit of research that always happens, and that even comes from referrals from friends and family. I think when I get recommended a painter, we just had that happen. I'm trying to find his website, kind of look a little bit more about him, where he's doing stuff, what he's doing, things like that. I already know I'm pretty much using this. It's from a referral, but I still like to get that extra bit of verification before I spend additional money. And that's just, the service industry in general. You're hiring roofers. You're doing research on the roofer before you spend 10, 30, 50, however much, amount of money you're spending. You're going to make sure you look at them and at least see that these individuals or these businesses are investing in their digital footprint, because it builds more trust. Because if I'm going to spend this money on hiring somebody for home service, I want to make sure they're not going to just take it and run. I want to see that they've got a portfolio. I want to see that they are who they say they are. If they're saying, I do paint in Northwest Indiana or Chicagoland or Arizona and the Phoenix Valley and everything. So having all that where you can pull it up on your phone and see that is just so important. And especially as Google's doing a lot of changes lately, the AI updates have been absolute insanity across the board for everybody. So even search engines are being harder and harder to start ranking in there. But at the end of the day, you still need the site to appear. And the same goes with social media. As social media slowly gets worse leads through it because of different topics that are heavy on that time, which aren't relevant to what people should be seeing on that ad, or they're pushing your general day-to-day posts down the timeline because maybe you're not part of the Super Bowl and everybody's talking about the last score, or maybe something happened in your town and now all of a sudden you're like pushed out of the time feed because you're just not relevant anymore. And that's kind of how social media is going now with their algorithm changes as well. So that's why we tell people having that website as the backbone is still important, because no matter what happens with social media, your investment there, what happens with Google ads and your investment there, you'll always have your investment in the site running and making sure it's kind of like the back engine of everything to collect those leads, to look legitimate, and to just continue to scale at that end of it. And that will always be there. And a lot of people forget that. Like, you never want to get that site turned off. You never want to give up that connection to social and Google and in general search engines in general. But I think that site is just such a core, and you still need it. You can't just, it's very, 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 very rare we see somebody running their entire business off of social media. I actually think I've seen it like twice. It was a food truck in LA, and then something else. It was like very small, where it was like a link in bio to contact them. It was a photographer. So again, these are very small services, but they're not selling massive amounts of, projects. I think the project thing is just huge, and I think you'd agree with that as well.
The one thing that really highlighting like social media versus your website is your social media is essentially like your reputation. So like even when we were running like, social ads for some of these companies, we would just create a social media page for them just to put post, whether it's once a week, 2 times a week, just so if somebody found their website and wanted to go back to social media to see how active they were, we were, posting on social media for these businesses just to show that they were relevant and active on social media. But that was like kind of behind the scenes, of depending on how deep somebody really wanted to do their research. But the main thing is like the website was focused on conversion. So social media is kind of focused on your reputation, and your website's focused on getting that conversion and making it happen. So that's kind of like how I've kind of draw a line between social and websites. But like also when we talk about websites, there's so many functionalities that happen from your contact form being found on Google. If you're posting any articles directly off your website to social, people are going to click the article and go to the website. If your website's connected to your CRM, if you have events on your website, pretty much your website is the core, and all the extensions of your marketing is really leading people back to the website to get them to convert.
Yeah, and there's so much data that we can get mined from the website. The website connects to all these services, where some of those don't. We can tell if people came to there from social media. We can tell if they came from Google, whether it was through an ad or whether it was from search engine directly. We just have all of that in a hub, and you own that data for the most part, assuming that's your site. And for our clients, it's their data. We connect it directly through analytics, and they can pull it and use it as they see fit. And it's so big. It's just crazy because like the website, even when we talk about data, helps you make decisions on what services that you may be offering that are actually getting, traction in a certain area. You might be thinking, oh, okay, I'm a home remodeler. We mainly do cabinets, but now I'm going to do countertops specifically in this area, not just the cabinet replacement. And you're going all in, and you're investing all this money. And then after 3-4 months, you're like, wow, we're really not doing much. But then when you look at your analytics, you might not see that there's just no real demand for that service that you're trying to go all in on. So you can use all these analytics to make better business decisions based on what you're seeing on your website and how people are interacting. And that could also mean whether you're doubling down into something else. We saw it on our site when people are doing more website searches versus graphic design and branding and social media management. So what we did is we started pivoting our company to website design, development, and servicing. So, we just look at that analytical data, and you can make better decisions on your investments with your business. So that's just one of the features of what you can do with that behind the scenes if you're utilizing it as a tool. And we tell everybody the website's a sales tool, whether it's a salesperson or whether it's something that's giving you information to help better your day-to-day tasks. And yeah, integrating it with a ton of different stuff. Like we integrate our stuff we're with HubSpot, so we love it. There's a lot going on. Some people use Salesforce at our higher end level. People use Go High level. On Deck CRM, I think, is like a white label version of that for that kind of industry. And what's the big CRM for roofers? There's Service Titan. All these things integrate with our websites, which is cool. What's the roofer one? I can't remember it.
Maybe Job Treads.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That sounds right.
There's a few of them.
The CRMs are so big too, and if you're running a service industry based company, like having that CRM is just massive for sales, and it should be connected to your website.
And I think like what you said about reading the data, it kind of works both ways. So what John's essentially talking about is having individual service pages for each of your services. So when we're getting data, we're not looking at heat maps of where somebody was on the website. What we're looking at is which pages are people spending the most time on and how long are they spending time there. So if you offer 5 services and we build 5 different service pages, we can see which pages people are on the most. So that kind of helps you eliminate, what services you may not be coming up for. But it kind of works in another way too, because like sometimes I talk to people, in the service industry, and there's specific areas that their team would like to grow into. Let's just say a specific service in a specific industry. Let's just say a roofer wants to start getting more leads in the industrial space. So what we'll do is build a page on the website that says we are roofers and we do commercial roofing in the industrial space. So as the team is starting to push out towards cold calling people in that space, they also have the page on their website that's going to help them rank in that direction as well. So if they can, almost double down on doing the cold calls to get leads in that industry, but also building the web page to rank for that, they might just start getting leads and start ranking for a new industry that they've been wanting to pursue. And then the next step to that is, okay, so somebody does a cold call and they reach out to somebody in the industrial space to do the roof, and then they want a quote or they want credibility. So what that company could do then is share that specific page that says, we do commercial roofing in the industrial space. So essentially in their email or follow-up saying, hey, great chatting with you today. Here's a link to our website to show how we work with people specific to you. So that's like a great example of how your website can actually work as a sales tool. If you have these specific pages towards services and also tied to industries, you can start doing your follow-up to those people in the industry, and all of a sudden they think you're the industry expert. We see it happen all the time.
Yeah, it just tailoring your site to your customer. I just think it's just so important, and that's how we build a lot of our websites. We look at with our onboarding phase, we ask who you service, where do you service them, what do you do, what's so important about what you're doing, and then what we do is kind of tailor that to them. And it goes for the business, the look and feel of their digital brand, and then how the business speaks to their consumers, essentially, whether it's B2B or B2C. We kind of adjust all that wording to assist in making that connection a little bit better. Because look, at the end of the day, people go on a website. It could be anything. It could be a restaurant. It could be a roofer or landscaper. It could be a website company like us. But people go on their website to find out who they are, what they do, how to contact them, or where to get directions if it's like a restaurant. And it's really simple when you look at it from that overhead view. And then what you can do from there is, we build this site to answer those straightforward questions and then expand at a more sales level of becoming more than just a brochure. Now it's like a detailed consumer or customer-based brochure that is niched into the exact person you're trying to reach out to, whether it's location-based, web designers in St. John, or we only do web design in Northwest Indiana. So like we have these pages that are tailored around that we can share to get that extra bit of, it's almost like a review boost without having a review. Like it gives that person that little bit of trust about who you are, because you're just basically saying, look, we do this work in this area. and we're not shy about it. We don't just do the service everywhere. We do it specifically in your area, and we know the ins and outs of the town code and what's the design that's hip and cool right now for the area, things like that. I think people don't do that a lot with websites. They load up a Squarespace template or a Wix template or some GoDaddy nonsense, and then they just plug in a little bit about them, a very small gallery of images, and have a contact page. Like, I think that's good to get it started, but it doesn't help you sell your service, essentially.
Yeah, and something I want to touch base on, we had one of our clients reach out. They're in the deck space, and they're like, hey, like, we're getting people to our website. Like, how do we convert more people? And I looked at the website and I was like, this thing is built like extremely well. It's ranking for everything. Why are they not converting? And, you know, in the past, we'd like to say we build websites with a heartbeat because we'd like to have, you know, animation, videos, and everything on the website. And when I looked at this website, it would almost look like a bunch of spring photos. And the cool part about us is, like, we support all of our websites. So, like, if our clients want to make changes, change out photos, and like essentially change the theme, you'll see like a lot of companies that are super focused on e-commerce. Like, when Thanksgiving comes around, there'll be a pop-up like of a Thanksgiving deal. If Christmas is around, there's like a Christmas deal. And I think having the advantage using our team to make changes very easily, it's like, how often are you changing the photos on your website to be relevant to the time of year when it comes to what you're displaying? So, for instance, like my feedback to this deck builder was, if you have photos that looks like it's spring and it's super sunny and we're rolling into the fall, when somebody lands on your website, you might not look that relevant as to if you just finished a job last week of an awesome deck and the leaves are starting to change. Document that project, take good photos of it, and then send it to our team to have us update photos around your website to make your company seem relevant for the season.
Utilizing the post, it's just a WordPress built-in tool, posts. What we do is utilize it, or recommend people utilize it as like a gallery or project portfolio. And I can't tell you how many times we get in a conversation with a current client and, you know, they're like, you know, I'm not really sure if we're utilizing our website. I don't really know where we're at with ranking. We're kind of flatlined. And I'm like, well, you haven't posted any jobs recently. Your gallery is almost not updated at all. And I know you're busy. I see your trucks everywhere. I'm like, you guys got to get a couple, 4 or 5 iPhone photos. Give us a little project highlight. What job did you do? Where was it? What was cool about it? What, you know, different types of brands did you use? Was it, you know, some type of roofing brand? Was it some type of paver? Was it a specific cabinet? Something that we can talk about. And then what you can do is they can send it to our team and we can write up a little article just to share it. And again, the goal isn't necessarily to rank these anymore. It is a perk because you may get ranked in Google a little bit better. But it's really just to give your website some fresh life every once in a while. And, just keep things up to date. And I always tell people this, and on the call, they're like, well, we didn't know we could do that. And I'm like, we talk about it so much. So now I'm just going to start telling people, I said it on the podcast. So if you weren't following the podcast, then you would have never known. But maybe we'll get some more followers. But I think it's so important, and anybody can do that. And you could call it a portfolio. You could call it a little project gallery. Or it could just be updates about new people on your team. It could be, you know, events that you guys participated in. For us, we got a golf outing we're sponsoring. That's really important to us next Friday. Maybe we post a couple photos behind the scenes, and we're just like, hey, we were there. We're not the best at it on our end, too. We're super busy. So we kind of manage our time a little differently between clients versus us. But there's so many options that you could utilize that website for with that built-in WordPress post/blog feature. People call it a blog, but it's really not. It's just kind of the way it's referenced.
Yeah, and I think that ties directly into social media. So a lot of people want to finish a project and then they want to post about it on Facebook. But once you post a project that you did on Facebook, and you do 5 or 6 posts later, that all that good content of that great project that you did, you're only allowed to pin one post on your page to stay at the top. So you could post the best project and then 5 posts after that, and all of a sudden it's buried. So the same time that you're sharing a project on social media, you should also be sending it to our support team saying, hey, share this project as well. It's just helping your potential clients see that you're relevant and seeing your most up-to-date projects versus saying, okay, I went to somebody's website, I want to build a new deck, and the last deck they posted was a year and a half ago. But then you go to the social media page, that's where you're sharing all that content. You really should be sharing it with the web team at the same time, and we'll do the posting for you.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're already doing the work to put it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and that's fine. I think there's benefits of social, obviously. I mean, we talked to people yesterday that were like, hey, we've been seeing all the stuff you guys are posting on your accounts. It's very cool. But I think to double that down into the website just gives you that extra boost. You're getting, if it's, 5 more views every time you post on the website as well, and you're posting 30 times a year, I mean, that's 150 extra eyeballs on your service that maybe you didn't have before. And maybe 30 of those are new people. Maybe you convert 3 of those into new jobs. You're selling 10, 20,000 jobs. That's 60, potentially 60 grand of extra money just by expanding on your website. And when you look at the numbers that way, it's really just a game of like snowballing it and constantly growing it. And some people do it for a while and then they kind of fall out of it and they're back into it and then they're back out of it. It's really consistency is like the biggest part about it, kind of getting in that structure. And that's why we came out a couple months ago, or oh my gosh, it's probably been a year, our content booster where we write all those articles. And that was just to keep people's websites fresh. So we do the 2 articles a month on a website around their industry and localize them a little. And it's really good. But the benefits of utilizing that same concept as a portfolio or gallery feature of jobs or events that you guys are using to post on the site is just so much more organic than just informational stuff. So you kind of can utilize both of those, and it just gives you a huge boost in marketing in general, I think. And then you're not just stuck on Instagram or Facebook, and whenever they change their feed information, which is constant, it's almost monthly at this point, you're not stuck basically like crossing your fingers that your business page doesn't get just nailed, which it will, because they want to make you spend money on ads.
Yeah, and if you look at it this way, you could be spending so much money in Google Ads, and what updates are you actually doing on your website versus all these updates that you're doing on your social media? You're spending all this money on Google Ads for people to get to your website, but you're posting and sharing all your projects just on social. It's kind of like a huge disconnect. And one thing that's coming to the top of my head is we were talking to somebody, I think they're in the deck space in Colorado, and you went on their current website and it showed a bunch of decks that they got from some of their suppliers, and it was like palm trees. And they're trying to sell decks in Colorado, and the photos on their website is like palm trees. It's like,
no, it's like a roofer in Northwest Indiana, but then all their photos have like shingles, or they have like the ones that you get in like Florida or Arizona.
Yeah, like ceramic.
And you're like, dude,
tile roofs.
If you can't even put the correct photos on your website, then we got bigger issues for the guy that I would not hire that. It's like, geez, how lazy. So like, making sure you're keeping that stuff up to date, it just goes so much farther than people realize. And especially nowadays. I mean, Google ads and Facebook ads for lead generation are not getting cheaper per lead. I can't believe how many times I have this conversation of, oh my gosh, I'm not getting enough leads. Let's raise the budget. Budget goes up. Cost per lead still the same. If not, every quarter it goes up. You're losing ground on search and social for ads, because now you look at Google as an example. You can search any service right now. The first group you're going to see are GMB advertised sponsored posts. They're not even keyword based. And after that, you're going to get Gemini's answer about that service. And then after that, then you get an ad, and then you get your organic. So it's like your ad space is losing its value, and it's just becoming more and more expensive. So if you're not focusing on that organic base, like you're just going to be burning money at the ads at the top, and it's not going to get cheaper no matter what anybody tells you. Google, Facebook, or Meta, these guys want to make more money, and that's their platform is to sell you ads. But if you're just doing that, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever update they decide to roll out. So if you've got a website, I feel like it's an investment, and you should really just be using it and not just letting it sit there. And that's why we do monthly packages. I explain it to everybody. We'll get into some conversations. Maybe a client's kind of at that point of switching over, and they're just like, look, we just aren't using this, or maybe they don't know why they have it. And like the point is, we want people to reach out to us to update it. We want them to send us recent jobs or to basically let us know how things are going. We do monthly packages, so we don't just hand a website over and then assume that essentially like that's it, good luck, we're never going to talk again. With the monthly packages for us, we can cover that support so that we can basically listen to the feedback that we get and then recommend changes or start doing changes right away. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize that. There is a lot of, I also say there is a lot of people that do utilize that. So, if you don't have a web team that has that focus, I think you're already going to be at a loss right away. If you're just trying to get a website that looks good, you're never going to utilize that to be something that generates revenue moving forward. So we do the monthly. I think it's great. Support's so important. Encouraging people to send us those galleries and project portfolios is, in our opinion, the future of how we see websites being utilized the correct way.
Yeah, and that kind of rolls into one of my next topics. It's, people are like, hey, we're not really making use of this website. And then like we'll go look at their ranking and we're like, well, you're kind of like first on Google right now. So, what seems to be the problem with the website? And that's a lot of like the back end updates that our team is doing constantly to make sure your website is as healthy as possible to help it to rank. And that's the thing too. It's like we're doing our job on our end to make sure that, you are ranking well, everything's up to date, and your website's always up. And then, we don't have the time to reach out to everybody to say, hey, do you have a new project? Hey, do you have a new project? But our team is sitting there taking tickets saying, okay, update this website, update this website. Our goal is to really just make sure your website's ranking as well as it can. Make sure everything's healthy and making sure everything is, your website is always up. So this kind of transitions into our next topic. And that's kind of like if you are running ads, the importance of your website. We touched base on a point of saying, okay, you are running ads, but you're only updating your social page. You need to be updating your website as well. But also, if somebody's spending $30,000 a month in ads, and in the service industry, we see this happen all the time. That's about $2,000 a day. And we'll say if somebody's really running ads the right way, they're going to make sure they maybe don't run ads from 10 p.m. till we'll say 6 in the morning. So the budget isn't spent. So we'll say $2,000 is being spent from about 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the thing is that we're always making sure that these websites are up and running. So John, I think the direction I'm kind of going with this. Mm-hmm. We had somebody reach out that was spending that much in ads, and they really didn't understand the importance of their website, not only just like ranking organically, but consistently being up when they were spending so much money every month. The importance of the website staying up, because those ads are going to keep running even if your website goes down. So it's like almost like, having a True Mountain website and running ads, like it's almost like having insurance on the ads to make sure that the website stays up and the conversion's still possible.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just burning that ad money, twice as much. We're talking, $2,000 a day. We'll just say when you break up the hours, $200 an hour. Your site's down for that little bit amount of time, and you're getting 1 5 to 30 second chance at somebody getting on the site and filling out a form throughout a whole hour. You're just losing so many opportunities. What we do is we've talked about it in the past on some episodes, is we have an uptime monitor. We actually have 2 of them. It's a monitor that just makes sure the site loads every 60 seconds. It just sends out a little ping, If there is an error, it sends us a notification. Most of the times, the sites fix themselves pretty quickly. It might just be one small little load issue or something's happening where a plugin might be getting automatically updated. But then we have a secondary monitor, which checks it every 5 minutes. And if between those two 5-minute reports, it's still down, then we all get pinged to get basically told like, hey, this is actually an issue that needs to get addressed. Which is just so big. Anybody that's on a type of maintenance package with any of their website service providers should be asking them if this is something that they do, because it's so important, because you're trusting these web companies to be looking at that. You're trusting them to do those security updates, and you're trusting them to make sure the plugins are constantly being taken care of. When we're doing all that, you still need to make sure the site's staying live. And that's double important for people that do run those ads, if you are doing that on social or on Google. And even ads aside, if your site's down and you don't even know it, we'll just say for a week, maybe 2 weeks, Google's going to just start smacking your ranking straight down. All those pages that it was crawling, the crawler is going to look at it. It's going to flag it and start taking those pages away. And it's possible to get them to re-rank. We've seen it. We've helped people do it. But it just takes so much more effort, and it is really just something you don't want to have to deal with. And it should be easy to be addressed. I mean, nobody's website is 100% up throughout a year. Ours are about a 99 point, I don't know, we'll just say 8 or 0.9% uptime throughout the whole year, which is awesome, because we do a lot of our back-end updates super early. We're talking like 1, 2 a.m., depending on where you're at in the country. And we do them on a Wednesday. So if there is an issue, first thing Wednesday, we can address it when we're all awake. And then we also do a bunch of backups right before any of that happens, just in case we have to revert something. So we've got tools that make sure that's all done, and everybody should have that in place. And mainly the backups there because our clients break the website. Because we give everybody the tools, but sometimes they break it. But we encourage people. That's the thing. I'd rather they break it and use it than just stare at it.
That's seriously one of the most craziest points that you just brought up that I have not thought about is if your website's down and you don't know about it for a week or two, you're going to lose like all of your position, which is, it takes so much time. Like you always say the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, and it goes the same with SEO. And now put yourself in a position where you just built a website with a web company that is just going to hand it off to you. And now 2 months down the road, the website's down. You got nobody monitoring it to tell you about it. And then the website's down, and now it's your problem to fix because you don't even have a web company.
Yeah, and I mean, we have people that we talk to that are like, well, I want to host my own website. I want to put it on my GoDaddy account or my Bluehost or something. And I'm just like, I just don't understand it because they don't know anything about tech. That's why they're reaching out to us to run this website. And they're selling services that are generating, $1, $2, $3 million a year, but they're trying to save and penny pinch over $200. And by penny pinching, they're taking out all of these uptime monitors. They're taking out the daily backups. They're taking out the security and the spam protection. And like, they're making their sites not getting daily updates or weekly updates on plugins. So they're basically just opening up the door to potentially fry their SEO down the road or have a headache that they won't know how to fix anyways. So they'll have to reach out to these agencies or freelancers that just threw them something and said good luck. And hopefully those people are still in business, and hopefully they can even get into the site to update it. I just think it's crazy. It just blows my mind. So that's why we include all that in all of our packages, because it is that important to make sure that is taken care of. And like I said, there's instances where stuff does come down, and it's just the nature of the business. But that's why we've got monitors, and that's why we've got backups, and we want to make sure that we can still address it, even if there's something bigger than what we can control.
Yeah, that's great. I was thinking about this the other day, like the brand Altitude. That is that's the name of this podcast. And well, John, I'm not in focus. Here we go. Brand Altitude. So it really is. It's about how to bring your brand to that next level. And we've done branding so many times. We've came up with logos. We've came up with names, color palettes, patterns. We've done, like personally, me and you have done branding for quite a bit of companies. It's not like a service that we really offer at True Mountain. True Mountain is totally focused on web. We want you to look at it like it's like your phone provider could be AT&T or it could be T-Mobile. We want True Mountain to be your web provider. A website you could rely on, something that's going to help you rank in the long term and connect to all your apps to just kind of bring everything together. But with like brand altitude, it's kind of about building a brand and what that looks like. And, some of the things that I've thought about for brand altitude and like really bring your brand to that next level is, sharing your story, talking about your guys' values, beliefs, mission statement, whatever it may be, and really letting people get a good grasp of what a brand needs to do to take it to that next level. The focus is going in and out, isn't it?
Oh, you locked it.
Did I lock my focus?
No, it worked for that. But
Yeah. Your focus kind of going in and out sometimes?
It'll work for the Spotify people just listening.
Yeah.
So,
Technical issues.
I don't know how many people are.
But
watch the video.
John, so back to that point, brand altitude. It's like really about building a brand. We can do it with shapes, colors, slogans, but then there's like the story, the beliefs. There's so many things like that go into building a brand. So for you, what would you consider key things to do for somebody who's just launching a business to build this brand and get themselves out there?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, establishing like who you are and who you're trying to target, and then double down into that who you are part. So, we've got our golf brand, which is our passion project, and we've made it pretty clear we're kind of like this more gritty, not super professional, but we still are clean at the same time, look and feel. And what we've done with that is just doubled and tripled down into that, and we make sure we explain it that way. We talk the same way. We don't.
Is that your camera or mine?
I don't know. Yeah, my camera overheated, so
Wow.
that's a bummer. So, all right, well, you can't see me, but you can still hear me. So, hey, wait. So that's kind of like the gist of that, which is kind of funny. Actually, look at this. I might be able to come back to life. Here, take over for.
Okay.
We're doing this live. Is that what?
Yeah,
says?
we're totally doing this live. We don't do any cuts. This is what we want to do, and we just want to make it easy on ourselves. Like right now, we're just getting together once a month, and we're like, let's shoot this podcast. Let's just talk real marketing behind the scenes. Aside from like True Mountain, it's really focused on web, but we do have this very large background of marketing. We have marketing backgrounds. So yeah, like talking about the golf brand, we're keeping it edgy. And like, even when we started True Mountain, we didn't want to be those guys in a suit and a tie that show up and give you a PowerPoint. We want to hear your story. We want to hear what you have going on. And then we want to express all of that into your website. So when people go and check you out digitally, they know who you are. So when they call you, they feel like the vibe. They get it. They get what you do.
Well, I don't know how this is gonna work. So.
Are you trying to do the webcam or what?
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't work, but I feel like we did pretty good. We made it 38 minutes with our first camera issue.
First camera overheat. That is something Sony's have always been known for overheating. I remember I was watching this photographer. He was going to Iceland and he was trying to shoot the Northern Lights and he was worried about his camera freezing. But he had a Sony, so he was like, my camera's going to keep warm. I don't have to worry about this overheating. The cool thing that we did for this podcast is instead of using camera batteries, most of our cameras are plugged in directly to power sources, and then everything is plugged into the computer. So,
yeah, I'm sure there's just one button. I got to find out which button I was supposed to click. It's hard to explain over audio, but there's a lot of cables running in front of my screen right now, like a lot. And, it works most of the time. And today we worked like 99.9% 9% of the time. It's
I-
kind of like our uptime.
If you look back at this episode, you'll see that most of the time you're on the camera, your camera was kind of trying to find focus a little. It was definitely working to find focus, and I think that caused it to overheat, to be honest.
I can't win them all. This is why AI is taking over.
Yeah.
Because of stupid cameras.
But we tried this podcast out, so instead of me and John sitting at the same table, now I'm sitting at my desk, he's sitting at his desk. The scene's all different. We're just going to wrap this things up. Thank you for watching Brand Altitude. What is it? The September episode 4? Episode 4?
Yep.
Sounds right. Appreciate everybody watching. If you guys have anything that you want us to discuss specifically for your industry, any topics when it comes to web, just reach out, shoot us some messages, and we'd be happy to discuss it. As again, thank you everybody for the support. Hope you have a great September. The leaves are going to be changing. It is going to be exciting, and we will see you next month.